Hello everyone and welcome back to Let's Play Final Fantasy Adventure. In the last part, we raided Glaive Castle and things went pretty south if you ask me. And now we're going to continue on towards our next destination. You see, Bogard told us to go find Seba, so we went back to, what's his place, I can't believe the name, Wendell, to find him. And it turns out that he's gone to Lorim, which is in the southern seas, so we're heading there now. Though what's interesting about this is the area we have to go in. This is the Lorim area. It's pretty much the ice-covered area of the game. But what's funny is, if you actually go to the map, you're actually not in the south. You're in the northeastern corner of the map. This game does something a couple of games did back in the day, where the maps actually looped over and over again. A lot of RPGs did that, and still do to this day, actually, now that I think about it. And that's just pretty much them saying you have to head south to get to it, but it's not in the actual south. You alright there, dude? Julius has summoned monsters into this world. One called Kary in the snowfield has frozen us. Siba came, but he's stuck in this other room. It's dangerous to keep them all frozen for long. Frozen? You sure you got the right demon there, pal? Kary was a fire demon last time we saw her, and I wonder, is her name still a mistranslation for Merilith in this game? Probably is. I won't look that up. Anyway, I actually cut back a couple screens there to a place where I had to chop down some trees. It's too cold for you ahead. Wait for me here. Yeah, in the snow-covered areas of Lorim, you actually cannot use your Chocobot. I recommend using the Fire Whip here, Flame Whip rather, because it'll actually one-shot a lot of enemies, even if you're at a fairly lower level. Like, if your stats, say you are at the same level as me even still, and you did evenly leveled stats, you'd still one-shot a lot of the stuff here. Also, if you didn't notice, yeah, the Final Fantasy 13-2 metal version of the Chocobo song, yeah, that was just a joke for the last part. Yeah. Anyway, let's find the ice cave of this area, which is thankfully not too far away from our current location. In fact, for the most part, Lorim is a fairly linear area. There it is. Holy crap, unique dungeon music! I think it's unique. Sounds very icy. I forget if it is, honestly. You know what it is, too? This is one of those games I often play while listening to music or otherwise, so I don't really remember the soundtrack that much other than the main overworld theme. And as such, we have ice panels here, which work as you'd think. They push you along in a certain direction. Well, you might not think they work that way, but that's how they do work. You don't just slip and slide on them. That's why that one guy's trapped in the top right corner, actually. Well, not top right, but top the screen. Really annoying thing about this area is that every enemy in here, except for... Well, not every enemy. Like, all but 2 enemies in here can be killed with the Flame Whip. The Eye can obviously inflict dark on you. Stone on you. And the Tornado guys can actually inflict dark. So, watch out for that. For the most part, if you see me not going a certain direction, that's because it generally ends in a dead end that doesn't get you anything. Mind you, can say that for a lot of dungeons and games, but if there's like a chest there, I'll generally go for it. If I can remember it. Also, what the hell are those things supposed to be? Are they jackrabbits? Goats? What are they? Oh well. Also, a bit of a lazy spriting there. They pretty much just reused the, snowman sprite that the ice spell creates to make those enemies. Though, technically speaking, I suppose in terms of development, the snowmen for the enemies could have been made first. These duck enemies are fairly simple. In fact, they're honestly really pathetic because they have very short-ranged attacks. I think they can inflict a status ailment on you, but nothing too bad, honestly, if they do. So, yeah, honestly, while there's new enemies, obviously, and ice panels that we've seen more than enough of by now, and while there is unique dungeon music as far as I can recall, that's pretty much it for this area. We do need to actually backtrack a bit here. Don't go up a screen. You want to go back left. Because you may have noticed when I got the dark status, there was 2 flowers there. You need to break the wall in between those. Yeah, I went the wrong way for about 2 minutes. So yeah, we have to go up there. So until I find something else to talk about, I might as well talk about something else. Let's see. Oh, I actually just saw Ant-Man recently, which I know this is probably really outdated as usual with my stuff as to what's happened in recent times when I talk about it. But Ant-Man, that was awesome. Honestly, my third favorite Marvel movie. Most accessible, best comedy in my opinion. Well, not best comedy, because it's not my favorite Marvel movie, it's my third favorite now. My only real complaint with it was that the villain didn't get much exposition to his character. Not very well developed. But, oh well, not every movie's perfect. No movie's perfect, actually, now that I think about it. And we found an elixir, finally, a new item, actually. Well, quote-unquote new. We've obviously seen elixirs before in the series and in other games. They do what they usually do, fully restore your HP and MP. I know for a fact that that's not the only use they've had throughout the games, though. I forget which game it was. I think it was actually the Final Fantasy Legend games, where they, instead of healing your HP and MP, actually acted as a Phoenix down and life spell. Final Fantasy Legend games are weird, but really fun. Legend 3 in particular. Legend 1 and 2, they were good, but I had problems with their setup and battle system. Legend 3, that just did really well in my opinion. Hey, level up! Level 47, that is a power level. His power level's rising. I can't do a Vegeta. In fact, I seem to be doing more of a Nappa at the moment from Team 4-Star. Yeah. Also, I'm gonna admit, that really bothers me. I'm usually alright with the pace being broken in a game and such, but it bothers me when you have to let your willpower charge up for very specific areas in the game. Mind you, if you weren't attacking enemies and you already have your willpower fully charged up, it's not that big of a problem, but it bothers me still. Anyway, this area is pretty self-explanatory. It's an endless loop of in the ice. I have to step on the switch, rather, get in the center, and then step on the switch to make the loop end, and then you step on the other switch in order to make the door open. No, I wonder, was there any trivia I missed out on? Let me check my other notebook. I don't think there's anything I missed out on at this point. Let me think. I know there's one thing I haven't mentioned for a fact, but I'm going to save that for the final dungeon because plot details. Oh, there's something. Final Fantasy Adventure actually has a bug in the equipment settings. You can first do it when you get the upgrades in Wendell, namely the Iron Helmet. When the text box appears, I think it's to equip it or something. I forget the exact way it works, but you press the start button to open the main menu, then move the Iron Helmet to the slot next to it. Close the main menu, save, and then soft reset, which you can do in this game by pressing down A, B, start, and select at the same time. When the game goes up, if you press the start button after the text box appears, and then equip the Iron Helmet, your defense points will go up to 17 instead of 9. I think it essentially just doubles it, or adds the defense that you would get from it to your stats naturally. I forget. It's weird. I'm generally better with knowing how glitches work, but this game, while I love it, it's not one I go back to play often, so that kind of escapes my memory somewhat. Hopefully you got the basic gist of it. And I forget what I've been meaning to look at screen. Verbal failure! Oh well. But yeah, sorry if there was something I should have mentioned on screen. I know for a fact that if you just continue on the ice in these previous few rooms, you will be in a loop, and you won't be able to access this room, because you have to whip onto the stakes in order to get in here. No, I do like how this game actually has your dungeons lead outside every now and then. Mind you, games like Final Fantasy VI did that, but not often enough to the point where I would notice it. In a shorter game like this, it's very noticeable. I forget what's to the south, honestly. I rarely ever go there, if I've ever gone there. Be careful in this room, though, because these are holes you can fall down in and fall to the previous floor. Which, for experience granting, might be good, but not otherwise. Either way, time for the boss fight against Kary. Kary is a fairly easy boss, honestly. She is a girl in this version still. It's really hard to tell, honestly, because those might as well be pecs, but oh well. Actually, I wonder if her sprite was edited for the American release. I can see that happening. Either way, Kary, the best weapon to use against her is the Flame Whip, obviously. However, you can only hit her generally around the face. Thankfully, the Flame Whip itself takes care of any projectiles she shoots at you, so overall, not a very hard boss. It's more of a war of attrition, if anything. But for defeating her, we get the Ice Sword. Also, I should mention, go sell the Wind Spear. You don't need that anymore. Sell the Silver Sword as well, because we have the Morning Star now. But for defeating her, now all the people in Lorim are unfrozen, and by that we mean the 3 that weren't. Hey, Ziba. Hey, a Bone Key. Go up the wide river by the Ammonite coast. Go beyond the Ammonite coast to find float rocks. Use this key at the cave in the float rocks. The guardian monster has the legendary sword. I'll tell you the rest when you return with it. Was that the voice I used for him? I forget. Oh well. But yeah, now we have our next objective. And you might be wondering where the Ammonite coast is. By the way, I'm cutting back to the outer rim of Lorim. The Ammonite coast is actually a place we've been to before. In fact, it was the end of last part, even. It's this area, where we got the ice equipment last part. You might remember, I was calling myself an idiot last part for whipping across the river over here, but that actually is something you need to do eventually in the story. I was actually thinking ahead a bit. You need to wait until now, because we want to head south along the mainland here. Actually, I forget if I mentioned this, but wasn't this... Yeah, I think it was. If I recall correctly, this was actually the first time Chocobos ever appeared in a Final Fantasy game in America. I know I mentioned the Moogles, but I forget if I mentioned Chocobos, honestly. Well, actually, and you might notice that I still have the Silver and Wind Spear, but I sold those off-screen in between parts. But yeah, I think this was the first time Chocobos appeared, because I know for a fact their sprite showed up in, I think, was it Mystic Quest? Or was it one of the Final Fantasy Legend games? I forget at this point, honestly. It's been years since I've played one of them. I think it was Mystic Quest, though, because I think it was on top of a house in one town. Yeah, it was actually, wasn't it? Huh. Either way, welcome to the Float Rocks area. I should mention right now, in between parts, I'm going to be grinding to level 50. It doesn't take that long with the enemies in the surrounding areas. But float rocks, as you can see here, are just rocks that are floating. You can still destroy them with the Morning Star and such. Obviously, if you for some reason have Mattox, you can use them, but honestly, I don't know why you would. Let's see, level 48 is a Wisdom level. And there's a shop here which I'm going to buy some more keys at, but honestly, with that, I'm going to need to end this off here. Thank you guys for watching, and in part 9, we'll be heading towards our next destination, the cave here in Float Rocks. See you guys then.